Hey everybody, my name is Paul Esden Jr., aka Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. We're streaming live simultaneously in 3 different locations. The Heavy on Jets Facebook page, over 32,000 New York Jet fans. My YouTube channel, youtube.com/BoyGreen25, and on my Twitter account, @BoyGreen25 as well. And again, I feel like I have to address this at the beginning of every video. If you see me sitting in the recliner, the reason being is I completely tore my ACL. So it's in that big reconstructive robotic leg for the foreseeable future. So bear with me on the weird visual here. But nonetheless, we're here late on a Monday night to talk about some of the top storylines heading into New York Jets OTAs. The first OTA practice was earlier today. We'll show you guys a couple of photos, interesting notes. Also, feel free to jump into the comment section to get this party rolling. Hopefully, you guys can join in on the show. We'll be on here for a bit of time and really appreciate it. So without further ado, let's dive in. Let's say hello to the good people. 19 New York Jets 69. What's up, Boy Green? Let's go. Yes, sir. Absolutely love it. Vincenzo, feel better, Paulie. Appreciate it, my guy. And I hope you're doing well, brother. Yeah, I got part of the leg off, so that's very nice from a surgery perspective. But very long and arduous process. There's no doubt about that. By the way, guys, if you're just joining us now or live or after the fact, make sure you guys like the video, hit subscribe down below on YouTube. We're getting closer and closer to 5,000 subscribers. So feel free to show your support and also ask any questions that you'd like. I'm going to throw a couple of things up here from today. We'll start off with this because this is actually a topic we wanted to get to anyway. What about old Zach Wilson at Jets OTAs today? Let's throw that up on the big board. There he is, Zach Wilson, putting in that work and making Aaron Rodgers' life a living hell. A little bit of a tip of the cap to what Zach Wilson said back at the end of the season. There's Zach Wilson, an action shot, also another action shot, throwing a pass. And I'll just say this. I'm rooting for Zach Wilson. I'm rooting for the kid. And also, hello, Harry, just joining us. Hello, my Jets family. Welcome, Harry, to the show. I'm rooting for Zach Wilson. He is the guy that's going to be QB2. Robert Saleh said it at the NFL owners meetings. We also have an article in our YouTube description down below where the good friends over at Badlands suggested that the Jets should go chase Nick Foles as QB2. He was recently released by the Indianapolis Colts. Obviously, he's got the connection to Joe Douglas, former Super Bowl MVP, and things of that nature. So that part looks good. But just to tell you on the Zach Wilson front, I'm rooting for him. He's obviously been here at the OTAs and practices. He's going to get all the work as we progress through this offseason. We have this is phase 3, technically, of the Jets offseason programs. They're going to have 10 OTA practices. They just had one earlier today, so 9 more to go. For the Jets in terms of OTAs. Then there's a mandatory minicamp in the middle of June. And then the Jets will break for about a month. And then we'll have a training camp coming up probably around July 17th range, somewhere in that ballpark for training camp. Remember, the Jets are coming in a little early for training camp because they have the Hall of Fame games. So they get some extra practice in, which is great for us fans. That means we get more Jets content earlier, sooner, the better. So that's going to be pretty great. But I'm rooting for Zach Wilson. It's going to be exciting. He's going to get all the run. Aaron Rodgers ain't playing in the preseason or any of these opportunities, so Zach will have every chance to show his full stuff. He will be QB2, whether you guys like it or not. Here's what I'll say real quick on the Zach Wilson front. And we'll get back to some of the pictures and videos and stuff later. I will say off the top, he was the number 2 overall pick. If he can't be the backup quarterback, I mean, what are we talking about here? Because it's not realistic to put him as third string. You can't make Zach Wilson third string. That would crush his confidence and everything else. And if you guys don't care about that, then he shouldn't even be on the team. So from that standpoint, I'm rooting for the kid, and he's going to be the QB2. Let's see how he handles this process. He's going to get a lot of opportunities to try to spin it around. And I see Kareem saying, why is it mandatory to root for Zach? It absolutely isn't. People can root for whoever they want. Here's what I say about it. You have the choice, of course, of rooting for any player on the team. There are sometimes, and I say this when the draft comes along, there are prospects as I study the draft, and I'm like, I'd rather the Jets not get that guy. And what if the Jets draft him? Could I just hate the player forever? I guess. But I try to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. So some people do not like Zach Wilson, and Kareem, your point, why is it mandatory to root for Zach? But I will say it's not mandatory to root for anybody. But for me personally, what I try to do is try to be positive, try to be optimistic, try to be glass half full, because what do we have to lose? What are we going to root against players to stink or whatnot? No, I'm hoping he can bounce back. And again, I don't think there's a guarantee or anything of that nature that Zach Wilson is guaranteed to be a success because Aaron Rodgers is around, but it certainly can't hurt. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is a 4-time NFL MVP by osmosis. Zach Wilson should get better, seeing how he prepares, how he gets right. Again, does that guarantee the Jets are going to get their, his fifth-year option exercise next offseason, or he's going to turn it around? No, there's no guarantee of that whatsoever. But absolutely not mandatory to root for Zach. But I am personally. I do have the Zach Wilson jersey. I see you say that James, and he wore the Zach Wilson jersey last week. I got it in the closet, of course. But we'll see. And GB jumping in here on YouTube, Zach's a bust, period. Yeah, as far as we're concerned right now, he is. I mean, there's nothing else you can say. There's nothing else you could say. Zach is 100% a bust right now, but we'll see if he has an opportunity to turn around his destiny. But he will be, like I said, QB2. But let's see what he does with, again, the OTAs. He's going to get a lot of reps there. More importantly, the preseason, because the Jets will have 4 preseason games. Most NFL teams only have 3. The Jets will have 4 because of the Hall of Fame game. So an extra game, that Hall of Fame game, which you wouldn't have thought when Zach Wilson was initially drafted, is going to be the star of the show. So let's see what he does with some of those weapons. Did Q show up? From everything I've heard, he did not. Rich Samini said he did not. Here are some of the details. Let me throw this up. I think this is important. So to give you guys a better scope of Phase 3, I'll kind of walk you through it here. Here is Phase 3. This is from Ethan Greenberg. He's the team reporter for the Jets. So the Jets have 10 OTA practices, 4 of which are open to the media. Tomorrow's practice will be open to the media, which means Robert Saleh is going to speak. That's Tuesday, May 23rd, May 31st, June 6th, June 9th. So out of the 10 OTA practices, only 4 are open to the media. So we'll get those, in theory, opportunity to speak to Saleh 4 different times. So we should get some insight there. And also, obviously, the reporters looking. So it's only source stuff, but from everything we've heard, Quinnen did not show up. Now, during this Phase 3, which lasts 4 weeks, teams can do all kinds of things. They can line up in 7-on-7, 9-on-7, 11-on-11 drills during those 10 OTAs that, again, are preceding the mandatory minicamp. The mandatory minicamp is from June 13th to the 15th. If Quinnen, by the way, randomly on that Quinnen note, if he skips the June 13th to 15th mandatory minicamp, the Jets can find him about $93,000. Now, we'll see if it gets to that point. Obviously, he is either just had or is having his child somewhere in the next bit here. I'm not sure the Jets would make an excuse for him for his child. We'll kind of see what happens there, but they could find him up to $93,000. Now, this OTA practices are voluntary. So the mandatory part comes in June. So we will keep an eye out on that. Everything we understand, he did not show up, but we'll have more confirmation tomorrow when it's open to the media. AC would love for Zach Wilson to work out. I'm stoked for Aaron Rodgers. I don't know when it's going to hit, guys. Like I'll show you. So let's throw this up. Let's see Aaron Rodgers in the Jets helmet for the first time, which looks great, by the way. Let's throw this up on the big board again. AC. I don't know when it's going to hit, but this is fantastic. Let's just take a peek. This is a level of porn here, but look at that, Aaron Rodgers Jets helmet. Nice. Action shot. Look at Nathaniel Hackett even getting in motion there. Very nice. Get Tim Boyle back there. Another action shot. Robert Saleh. Ooh, very nice. More Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson. 1-7 right here. That looks nice. So I don't know when it hits, guys. I'm going to be honest with the Aaron Rodgers thing, but it just fires me up to have a 4-time NFL MVP, all the primetime games and all that jazz. But yes, that looks good. By the way, guys, I'll randomly show you this. I put this together. So the Jets put some highlights. They put some highlights out, of Jets practices and stuff. Let me see if I can find it real quick so I can show it to you guys. Oh, here it is. Okay, so Aaron Rodgers, and I'll play this a few times. So Aaron Rodgers had this walk-in touchdown. It was the first touchdown of OTAs. And I decided to – so I saw the video, I screen grabbed it, and then added in commentary. Tell me what you guys think of this. I put this together earlier. So here we go.
And Rodgers escapes, gets out of trouble, runs for a first down, and a whole lot more. Get back, runs for a touchdown.
Yeah, so again, the Jets released this with no audio. It was Aaron Rodgers pump faking and running in a touchdown during OTAs. So I grabbed the video and I looked through every Aaron Rodgers rushing touchdown of his career, and I found the best highlight that matches the clip of the Jets of Aaron Rodgers running in a touchdown and pump faking. So I had to go through some tape earlier when it came out, but then I came up with this. This is Al Michaels' voice under a different Aaron Rodgers clip, but I paired it with this one just for fun, so Jet fans could kind of get a taste of what it would be like. So here you go. Let's run it through a couple times.
And Rodgers escapes, gets out of trouble, runs for a first down, and a whole lot more. In fact, runs for a touchdown.
I can't wait. So again, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. You guys can always check out my Twitter at BoyGreen25 for you guys to see the rest. But yeah, I went through some tape earlier to try to get the right call. You need a pump fake in there. Aaron Rodgers, the mobility, very underrated. I will just say that, very underrated. So, yeah, that was nice to see it. 19 and New York Jets 69. I also feel good about Zach. By the time A-Rod retires, Zach will be ready to lead the team. That would be great in theory. Again, Zach Wilson has 2 years left on his contract. That's through 2023 and through 2024. The Jets will have to make a decision on his fifth-year option after 2023. So they have to make that decision in May of 2024. Now, in theory, Zach Wilson ain't playing a snap this year in terms of regular season football outside of kneel downs or blowouts or something playing in that perspective. So Zach Wilson will not play. So the Jets having to make this decision on a fifth-year option without seeing him play, they must be convinced, if that's going to happen, they have to be convinced that he bought in and he's learning from Aaron Rodgers and stuff like that, a la Jordan Love, although we haven't seen a lot of Jordan Love, obviously, in his years, but they didn't exercise the fifth-year option. They gave him a mini extension instead, so maybe there is a middle ground there to be had potentially with Zach. But hopefully, right, yeah, that's that would be great to see it from there. Let's see. Hello, Wavy joining us. Hey, everybody. Again, make sure you guys like the video on YouTube. Hit subscribe down below. Also, the YouTube Super Chat feature is available where you guarantee your comment gets answered here on the show. I'll try to get to all you guys, but let's go to Kareem here. Worrying about crushing his confidence is the reason he won't take ownership and the reason he doesn't get better. Well, obviously, there was some of that last year where, when you're to make it in any sport, relatively speaking, you have to have a high confidence in yourself. But that was a wallop last year because Zach Wilson couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. He was missing some of those short intermediate passes, and he was struggling with that. Then obviously, I'm sure he heard the fanfare and the radio shows and everything else. So his confidence just went, pew! And now this offseason where you have Aaron Rodgers, none of the pressure should be on him in theory. So he should really be able to dedicate himself to the craft. Hopefully hearing some more about the Zach Wilson progression from Robert Saleh tomorrow. We'll also do another video tomorrow about all that stuff. There you go, Matthew. When we're beating the Patriots 50-0, yes, please. Zach will come in to be amazing, then run up the score to 75-0. Hey, sign me up, Matthew. I love that. Let's see. A-Rod, 5th MVP. Oh, man. Wouldn't that be something? 5th MVP. Again, Aaron Rodgers in general is great, obviously. But with Aaron Rodgers' angry chip on the shoulder, yes. Sign me the hell up, baby. Chicken Man Porto, good friend of the show. How you doing, Boy Green? I'm doing awesome. Feeling as better as you can, all things considered. So we're powering through. Appreciate the support, brother, and all you guys here on YouTube. You guys mean the world, so thank you. So we float. Sometimes I'm in this not office chair. It's a recliner. I call it an office chair to do some work out here with the torn ACL. But occasionally I could go over to the studio. I got crutches and everything walking around, so it's a process. AC, that is correct. Hugh said he was not showing up to voluntary practices without a new deal. That is true. So unless something changes, it is not. The mandatory minicamp is coming June 13th. That is a 3-day mandatory minicamp. Dark Soldier, Kuru. I won't go as loud. I don't have my mic, so I know the audio quality isn't the same. So, yeah, you can feel it there. Let's see. Oh, you like that touchdown. Very nice. Yeah, I'm glad you like that. Very nice. Yes. Ram Showcase. There you go. Jumping in. Joe Branham. By the way, I will spoil it. I think Joe actually messaged me in the middle of the show. I'm looking forward to it. And we're going to have for the first time ever in the history of the Boy Green YouTube show and guests and live streams and stuff, we're going to have a video intro. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be amazing. He just sent me the first edition as we're here live, so I'll have to check that out later. But major shout out to Joe Branham, who is the host of Rams Showcase. He always does an amazing job. Rams Jets Super Bowl, where he's obviously a massive Rams fan. I'm a massive Jets fan. His Rams have already done it. Of course, we met each other a long time ago, and we talked about our teams facing off or finally winning the big one. Obviously the Jets had won the big one a long time ago, and the Rams, with the greatest show on turf, obviously won a Super Bowl as well. But our two teams facing off against each other, and they did it. Which, by the way, you know what? I would take the Rams. I've heard some Jet fans say they wouldn't. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I would do the Rams thing every time. And the Rams thing is going all in, winning a Super Bowl, and then sucking for probably a while. I mean, they kind of got like an expansion roster outside of a couple of guys. No shame on you, Joe. So it's going to take a while to turn that thing around, but they won the championship. They won the whole thing. They were the world champions. I mean, that worked. So Eagles-Jets Super Bowl, we'll see. The Eagles lost a lot of pieces this offseason. That would be interesting. And the Jets will get a chance to play the Eagles. I think that's week 6 off the top of my head. And buys week 7, I think, off the top of my dome, which would be great to beat them for the first time. The NFC is weak. That's another great point by Ram Showcase there. Let's go to this one. This was another topic we're going to address on the show. I heard we don't want Tim Boyle to be QB2, and we're afraid for Zach to come in if A-Rod get hurt. Let's pick one, guys. Yeah, first off, I'm going to be honest. When Tim Boyle was initially signed, a lot of people overreacted. They said, oh, QB2. Like, no offense. Like, all the people in the NFL are better than me. I'm literally in a recliner doing a show. So, obviously, they're better than me. But Tim Boyle stinks, man. I mean, he's had, 3 starts, 0-3, has, double the amount of interceptions, and he has touchdowns. I don't know, man. Tim Boyle's not good. And when you look at the fine details of his contract, $75,000 guaranteed. While that's great for any of us watching, that's chump change. So not only is he not guaranteed to be QB2, I don't think he's even guaranteed to make the roster. Now, the new QB rule where the third quarterback doesn't count on the roster and that sort of thing, that could keep Tim Boyle on the team, so to speak, as QB3 instead of practice squad call-up, although I think he will be one or the other. Zach Wilson is QB2. And in terms of the other thing, so let's talk about this real quick, dive into the QB2 conversation. So here's the thing. If Aaron Rodgers gets hurt, the Jets are effed. I mean, let's be honest. If Joe Burrow gets hurt, the Bengals are effed. If Josh Allen gets hurt, the Bills are effed. No one is prepared. The Eagles were an outlier in 2017 when Carson Wentz got hurt at the end of the year and they passed the torch over to Nick Foles. Team, him, perfect combination. They win the whole gosh darn thing. But let's be honest. When your top quarterback goes down in a quarterback-driven league, you're screwed. You're screwed. Now, I get it, and that's part of the argument down below in the YouTube description from the boys over at Badlands, that this isn't about if Aaron Rodgers is out for the season, because we all agree the Jets are effed. But if he's out for I don't know, 2-3 weeks, something like that, do you have a guy that can step in and hold down the fort? To me, while some people will say Nick Foles, Teddy Bridgewater, God knows who, again, if Zach Wilson can't be a backup quarterback, a guy that comes in spot duty, he's a clipboard holder, and he comes in on occasion, if he can't do that, then wow, your team stinks. He has all the talent in the world that got him to be the number 2 overall pick in the first place, but if he can't be that, what are we talking about? Now, I get it. A lot of that was ugly last year. The Jaguars game was ugly. He got pulled for Chris Strevler in the middle of the only primetime game of the year. It was disgusting. And then go to the New England one, which was worse. I watched that at a bar. That was the second New England game in Foxborough. They couldn't move the ball an inch. I mean, it was terrible. So I know some Jet fans, because of that, their brains are poisoned. They're like, Zach Wilson sucks. We never want him anywhere near the field. And by the way, I don't either. I want Aaron Rodgers to be on the field the whole time. But the Tim Boyle people, super overreactionary. Now, again, some people have made the case for Nick Foles. Again, that article down in the YouTube description below. But for me, I'm comfortable with Zach Wilson being the guy. And maybe it's blind faith. Maybe it's Aaron Rodgers can only help him. Maybe it's a coaching staff giving him a proper reset. He's not the guy. Spotlight isn't on him. But I'm comfortable with Zach Wilson as QB2. I know a lot of people are. And here's the other reason I'm comfortable with it. Aaron Rodgers since 2018, if I have my stats right, has missed one regular season game, maybe 2. So it's something like 82 of 84 games since 2018. So, you're making a very calculated risk that, hey, Aaron Rodgers has been healthy. He's going to stay healthy, and here he is coming in here. So, but people do need to stay to a certain narrative. Yes, we did. AC just talked about that, but I know I'm catching up on some of these comments late. So, yes, that's great news. That's the 49er rule, of course, because in the NFC Championship game, everyone goes down. Brock Purdy, Josh Johnson, and so it gives them a chance. Now, I will say, what's the difference between QB 3 or 4 coming in and actually saving the day? Probably slim to none, but still, I like the rule in general that you can have this. So it's all great. They should have kept this in forever, but that one makes sense. Rico the Pup. Hey, Boy Green, any late round picks / UDFAs you're hearing buzz about? I know it's very early. Love a good underdog story. It is early, so I will start that off, Rico. And I feel the same way. I know some people hate training camp and preseason and all this, and maybe it's just because I'm a football junkie, Rico, but I love these stories. I love falling in love with players. Now, obviously, Hard Knocks, which, again, I fully expect the Jets to get. I'm really not sure what the holdup or delay is in Hard Knocks announcing. Last year, they announced in March that the Detroit Lions were the Hard Knocks team, and today is my father's birthday. Shout out to my old man. But it's late May, so the fact that they haven't announced it yet is kind of weird, but we'll kind of see what happens there. But Hard Knocks, or just in general, we like guys we can root for, and Jet fans know better than any, like David Clowney's of the world. Who is the kid? Greg Dortch. We love those kind of stories of guys that get an opportunity. Now, the one to watch for this year anyway is probably, I think the kid's name is Trey Dean. Trey Dean the third. He is the safety out of Florida. The Jets gave him a nice guarantee. That's always a good tell of how a team feels about a player. So give him a high guarantee number, and obviously the safety position is kind of in flux. So you look at opportunity, and then you look at player, and those two match. And those two align, Rico. So he's a guy to keep an eye out for. The team feels really confident about him. In a Tony Adams sort of way, last year he was the great story that made the 53. I will tell you one story to watch of a guy. I didn't tweet out this picture yet. I'll probably tweet it out tomorrow early before we get the thick of the new OTA media news. But keep an eye out for Irvin Charles. I wrote a piece about him a while back. We also did a video. If you guys just kind of YouTube search Irvin Charles turning heads, Boy Green, you'll see it if you didn't. It was like a 10-minute video, nugget to Rich Samini about him kind of turning heads inside the building. Again, wide receivers a little crazy because of the talent and depth and veterans and whatnot. But does Denzel Mims make the team? He's not really a special teams guy. He's low on the totem pole. Is he a trade candidate? Probably. If we start getting into that process, maybe a flip to Green Bay could make sense. And then that would open up that spot for a, Brownlee or Irvin Charles or something like that. But those would be the ones to root for. Safety, so like a Trey Dean the third or Irvin Charles. Although we'll dive deeper into the like Zach Kuntz and Jerk Bernard Converse and players like that who I love a lot. Let's keep going here. Let's keep going. Keep those questions coming, guys. I am definitely throwing shade at Tim effing Boyle. Not great. But hey, different strokes. That'd be nice, Gator. McCluskey joining us. Zach can play some fourth quarters. That'd be nice to get a couple blowout wins. We'll see when those are coming. Wilner, interesting comment here. Zach Wilson hasn't earned the right to be the backup. To me, it's just the organization still coddling him. There is something to be said about that, but, draft status, number 2 overall pick, his contract structure, there's not really much the Jets can do unless they trade him. And if you make him third string, you're kind of like, I don't want to say sticking a fork in him, but basically, like, what is Zach Wilson to think? He goes from number 2 pick savior to, like, your third string. That could crush his confidence, of course. And it seems like from all the words, the Jets are still very much in the thought process of developing him, which has put him up. So let's see. James Horan. All right, we got some Boyle stands in the audience. Let's read. Don't be fooled by Boyle's limited stats. Kick and throw the rock around accurately. I predict Tim Boyle makes the roster number 3. He's staying. I think with this new rule, the chances of him making the roster have dramatically increased. I don't know if it's a lock, but probably. If you think about it, there's 4 quarterbacks on the roster. So Aaron Rodgers, obviously, he's in. Zach Wilson's QB2 from what Robert Saleh said. And the other 2 are Tim Boyle and Chris Strevler. Now, I imagine whatever Tim, I don't know if it would be Tim Boyle and Strevler, but probably either way, one of them is on the practice squad / QB3. Maybe both make it with the expanded practice squad. So that could be an opportunity. But his stock certainly went up because of that. System guy certainly helps. Rika the Pup. If AR makes it clear he's coming back for a 3rd year during the 2nd year, Zach is as good as gone. That's another good point. So again, when we first talked about this, in terms of the Aaron Rodgers thing, I brought it up a few months ago that I wanted Aaron Rodgers. So I wanted him number 1. And number 2, I was cool if it was only 1 year because, hey, let's whack the pinata and see what happens. But as Aaron Rodgers trade became official and things, it seems like he's going to be here minimum 2 years. That's what it seems like. He hasn't made that official. We also have to see the announced contract restructure, what that looks like. But he's probably here minimum 2 years, and maybe there's a chance for a 3rd year. But to your point, Rico, he only has 2 years left on his contract, no matter what, and there's a chance for a 5th-year option. Now, I thought there was an outside chance the Jets could have exercised Mekhi Becton's 5th-year option. We'll do more on that later with some of the top storylines. But they're probably going to decline that, which means, to your point, unless he comes back on a super cheap deal, which why would he? He'd want a fresh start, new opportunity. He would probably be gone from that standpoint. James, I'm hearing Saints are getting Hard Knocks. Maybe. I haven't heard anything about it, so if you guys know something that I don't, let me know. But I would be kind of surprised, to be honest. Because the 4 teams that are up are the Washington Commanders, the New Orleans Saints, the Chicago Bears, and the New York Jets. And with all due respect to those teams, the Jets are the obvious choice. Now, from everything we understand, no team has volunteered. So, James, I don't know what you're hearing, so I can't, confirm or deny your thoughts. But no team has volunteered to what we understand. And if no team has volunteered, the Hard Knocks is allowed to pick any team they want. Even if a team volunteers and they don't think they're interesting, they don't have to take them. There's all these rules. But whoever Hard Knocks picks, the team can't reject it. Now, they can let their feelings be known. I see Rob Power in here saying it. Hopefully the Jets are pushing back on Hard Knocks. We'll get into that in a second. They can push back, like say, we're not really feeling it. But at the end of the day, Hard Knocks has the ultimate decision power there. So we'll see. I think the most interesting of the 4 not named the Jets, to me, is probably the Chicago Bears. And the reason being is you have the whole Justin Fields QB thing. There's the draft thing in there with trading the number 1 pick. They got a couple of interesting players on the team. But in all reality, it is the New York Jets. But we will see. Now, I've heard Saleh publicly push back on it a little bit. Maybe Woody push back on it a little from some interview. I will just tell you this. I totally crap on the distraction bit. To me, that's a stupid thing to say. Because if Hard Knocks is going to distract the Jets, and they're never going anywhere anyway, there's going to be a few extra cameras, a few extra microphones around if you bring Hard Knocks in. But when you acquire Aaron Rodgers, you're going to get national attention. The Jets have the maximum 6 primetime games if you count the Black Friday game, which I do. It's a standalone game. So national attention and pressure and all that jazz is coming anyway. So just embrace it. That's where the Hard Knocks thing comes into me. So people asking, hopefully the Jets push back on it. Jet fans, tell me this, really. And again, I love One Jets Drive. We can get into that in a second. And I was on again, so I should be the biggest advocate for anyone for Flight 23 Ascension. I was featured on it. Shout out to Seth Bradley and the wonderful people with the Jets. I was featured on the Jets Twitter Diehards documentary. Again, flex on them. Super cool. Boy Green on that. Amazing. Bucket list item to go to the Jets facilities and do interviews and stuff. That was super cool. But as Jet fans, as I am one of them, why wouldn't you want Hard Knocks? Why would you not want Hard Knocks? Honestly, I'm dead serious. Why wouldn't you want Hard Knocks? It's more coverage of your team in insightful ways. And I don't think it's Hard Knocks versus One Jets Drive. You can have both entities. Like Hard Knocks is going to give you things that One Jets Drive won't. Of course, One Jets Drive is a home-based production. It's Jets people doing it, so they pick the footage they want to use. Hard Knocks is a little bit separate because they're their own entity. They don't belong to an individual NFL team. More coverage, the better. I would love Hard Knocks. I love the Hard Knocks music. I love the production. I love learning stories. I love all of that, which is more content for the fans, which we should all be about. More content, the better, especially in what we believe to be a magical season like this. Why would anyone be pushing back on Hard Knocks? That's the thing I don't understand. Raw Power, it seems like you're indicating that, or other people. I don't understand. I don't get it at all. Do not understand. Happy birthday, Boy Green's dad. Appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Yep. There you go. Rams showcase. Being on Hard Knocks is sick. Rams hit the perfect storm being Hard Knocks and All or Nothing. That was another good one. Wasn't a great year, but a cool inside look on the entire season. Yeah, and the thing I will never forget is Jared Goff. Was he the one who didn't know if the sun set in the east or rose in the west? You know, he didn't know the difference of those two. That was hilarious. And the last time the Jets were on Hard Knocks, they went to the AFC Championship game. So less results than obviously Joe Branham's Rams here, but like, what are we talking about? Like, give me Hard Knocks. Yes. Ooh, that's a good one. Kareem Mitchell. Who's the bigger impact between Al Woods and Quentin Jefferson? Well, impact is a unique word, Kareem. If we're talking production, it's obviously going to be Quentin Jefferson. He's coming off a 5.5 sack year. That's a career high for him coming out of Seattle. So pass rush juice, production numbers, he's going to be there. Al Woods is not this dynamic pass rusher. He's just a big fat guy that's going to be a space eater. He's going to be like a black hole in the middle of the universe from a run perspective. And that's exactly what they need him to be. So bigger impact, like statistically speaking, just in general, like, you know, Quentin, pass rush juice, like, and again, when you get to line up with guys like Quinnen and Carl Lawson and Will McDonald and Jermaine Johnson, like, you're going to have a lot of opportunities for one-on-one, so favorable matchups. But Space Eater, again, Al Woods isn't going to get the love from Sports Center and Top 10 and things like that, but he's going to have a huge impact. But I will answer the question in the sexy way. Quentin's going to get a lot of juice. He's going to get a lot of juice. Love the Hat Boy Green. Yep, I got the combo. So every year, for those who don't know, and hopefully you guys get to learn me more if you're new to the channel, my name is Paul Liston Jr. My nickname's Boy Green. I'm a diehard New York Jets fan, but also, as you can see on the byline, I cover the New York Jets for Heavy.com. So my birthday is around the draft. It's April 26th, and it's around the draft every year. So each year, my father, which shout out to his birthday today, he gets me the official Jets draft hat and the official Jets draft shirt. And some people hate the Jets draft hat each year. I get it every year. I freaking love it. So we got the combo. We're on brand today. See this? Boom, boom, boom. There we go, baby. Yes. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. So love the hat. Yes. I'm a big hat freak. One day, like I said, I'll do it for one of the channels. I'm in my like man cave living room right now, which has all this Jet stuff. So you see, we got like Darrell Revis and big Jets logo up there and all that stuff. So like it's my man cave. It's just Jets everywhere. But if we go, so I've got my man cave here. Next room over is like our dining room / my official studio. And then you go through the hallway, and the hallway from that room to the kitchen, floor to ceiling, are all Jet hats. I mean, all of them. There's draft hats, there's training camp hats, everything. I'm a Jets hat freak. I'm a hat freak in general, so I wear a lot of hats. Back when I was younger and more hip, it was flat brim, but as I've gotten older, it's the curved action is where I go. So there's a bunch of info that you didn't ask for, but there you go. Kaplan Center, hit that like button, everybody. Boom, boom, boom. YouTube appreciates it. Makes a tremendous difference. It's a free way all of you guys can contribute is by liking the video and hitting subscribe down below. Try to do live streams, player interviews, insider interviews. So we're going to have a lot of really cool stuff. And like I said, a brand new intro video coming. So shout out to my buddy Joe Branham of Ram Showcase. I'm so looking forward to, after this live stream, checking out the first version of the video that just got sent over. So that should be fun. Also, guys, the YouTube Super Chat option is available. If you're on YouTube, you can throw a tip in the change jar. That helps keep the show alive and helps support the program. So really appreciate all the support. Ronald Perry, can't trade Zach. Nobody wants him. It's true. And the people that want him are giving up like a 5th or 6th round pick. And to the Jets, do you eat the egg on the face and have a 5th or 6th round pick? Or do you truly believe in the guy? Do you believe in the guy because you don't want to look embarrassed? You know, again, you could kind of go either way there. Ooh, that's a good question. AC, what's the tight end group shaping up to be? Kuhn's going to make it. So here's the thing. The absolute roster locks to me are threefold. Tyler Conklin, CJ Uzomah, and Jeremy Ruckert. Like, Jeremy Ruckert was the number 101 overall pick last year. So where's he going? You restructure the contracts of both Tyler Conklin and CJ Uzomah, so they're on the roster. Now, depending on the year, I try to study some of the trends, but there's like an initial 53, and then it changes as other teams make their cuts, and the Jets add and subtract guys. So it's hard to have like a finite number, but the Jets could keep 4 tight ends. That's possible. Is it Zach Kuntz? Is he the guy? The Jets, of course, will have Kenny Yeboah too. Like, I think the best way for the Jets to maximize roster flexibility is lose Nick Bodden. He's the fullback, so kick his ass out. Bring Jeremy Ruckert as your quasi-fullback. Bring him in there. He's a really good blocker out of Ohio State, and he could be your everything, your fullback, H-back, just everything, do-it-all guy. So get him on the field, which, again, he's buried on the roster right now. And then at tight end, have that Zach Kuntz. I would love for Zach Kuntz to make it AC. Obviously, the RAS athletic scores are off the charts. He's got the size, the weight, and everything. There's a reason he slipped to the 7th round. He is this piece of clay, and there's a lot that needs to be kind of worked there from that perspective. But the tight end group is super interesting, and obviously Aaron Rodgers is going to bring this group to another level. They weren't utilized in the way, especially when you spend $45 million. Tyler Conklin, $21 million. CG Uzomah, $24 million. $45 million combined, plus the number 101 overall pick in the 3rd round. That's a lot of assets at the tight end position that didn't necessarily reap the benefits you were looking for at the tight end spot. So there's a lot of bump to be had. You know, high tide rises all ships. I think we're going to get that with Aaron Rodgers, which I'm really looking forward to. Okay, let's go. Ram Showcase jumping in here. Are you surprised that the conditional first is based on playing time and not wins, considering the historical health of Rodgers? That's a really good point. Well, from what we understand, Albert Breer shared the details of where the Jets were and where the Packers were when they were at the end of this negotiation. This was one of the last things to push it over the top. The Jets wanted a combo deal of percentages and wins, like, you know, AFC championship game, winning a playoff game, and stuff like that. But the Packers basically said, screw that. Like, you know, he's your problem. We don't care how you win or what you do. That's irrelevant. So that was kind of a point of contention between the Packers and the Jets. So then they said, okay, we'll make it playing time. Jets said, hey, we want it 90%. The Packers said, 50%, and they met in the middle, which was 65%. So obviously the Packers won that pissing contest ahead of the draft. Obviously the Jets were motivated to get it done as soon as possible, get Aaron Rodgers in there, so he's in those practices as he is right now. That just helps the team. There's not a dark cloud hanging over the team, what could have been a big chunk of the offseason here. So that's all good news from that perspective. So am I surprised? Obviously the Jets didn't want it to be this. They wanted it to be the other, but I think it kind of coincides with one another, and let me explain. If Aaron Rodgers plays 65% of the games, which according to the analytics translates to about, he has to appear in about 11 games in terms of offensive percentages. If Aaron Rodgers plays in 11 of the 17 regular season games, then the Jets likely are going to be very good. There's a lot of things that could go wrong. Injuries, of course. Obviously, we saw that with Brett Favre in the second half of that 2008 season. But if Aaron Rodgers is healthy and playing those games, I can envision a lot of possibilities of things playing out a certain way, Joe. But one of the things that I can envision, bluntly, is Aaron Rodgers just sucking, like coming to the Jets and being terrible. I don't think that's within the realistic possibilities. He's won 2 of the last 3 MVP awards. I think he has a chip on his shoulder, and he's going to be playing angry. I think we're going to get maybe one of the best versions of Aaron Rodgers we've ever seen, bluntly. So ultimately, to circle back to your question, so if he plays 65% of the steps, I think the Jets are going to be good, and thus the pick will be late and the Jets will be fine. The thing the Jets wanted to avoid in this scenario and making sure it wasn't unconditional was, what if Aaron Rodgers, God rest, again, I don't even want to speak it into existence, but what if he gets hurt like in the preseason or week 1? And he's out for the year, and the Jets gave up an unconditional first, and the Packers get a top 5 pick, and the Jets are, up Schitt's Creek. Like, then, whoa, what the hell did the Jets do? So Aaron Rodgers is compromised in some way. You have Zach Wilson, but you don't have a first-round pick to potentially go get a guy. That's where things get questionable. So they protected themselves in a way. Ultimately, I'd rather have Aaron Rodgers on the team right now than be pissing around with a 3rd or 4th-round pick or things of that nature. So ultimately, it got done. So I'm not overall surprised. Again, I wanted it in a different sense, but we'll see. AC saying, put the circus for Washington. The changing in ownership makes it super complicated. Maybe interesting from that standpoint because obviously Joe knows this. They did the transition from the LA thing with the Rams and Chargers together. So maybe potentially, but I don't think so. Kuntz is taking Ruckert's spot. That would be surprising to me, Ronald. That'd be surprising. But a 7th round pick to a 3rd round pick in a year? Ooh, maybe. Yeah, let's talk about this. Another Top Jet storyline, of course, is the Mekhi Becton situation. Mekhi Becton let the freaking coaching staff have it. He said they made a mistake putting him at right tackle. He almost basically, quite frankly, bluntly blamed the injury on the Jets. Said, hey, I'm a left tackle. I'm not a right tackle. You made me play right tackle. My injury put more pressure on my leg, and I told them I wasn't feeling good. Then, boop, gets injured. So he let him have it. There was a bluntness there, which, again, the Jets had a visit earlier today with Yadni Kajust. He's a former West Virginia offensive tackle, spent his entire 4-year career with the New England Patriots. He did sign an original round RFA tender earlier this offseason. The Jets brought him in for a workout. He'll be working out for the New York Giants tomorrow. Interesting timing. Very interesting. We wrote a piece about this, heavy on Jets. Make sure you guys check it out on the website. But now, personally, I don't think the exploration of a backup tackle changes the perception of Mekhi Becton, but a day after a tell-all interview, weird. Again, I think it's too late. It's late May. What are you going to do? Trade Mekhi? He's in the last year of his deal. I think you're playing it out here. And to your point about a bad feeling about him leaving next year, no matter what, here's the 3 possibilities for Mekhi Becton. He stays injured, so he becomes an unrestricted free agent. The Jets happily let him go because he wasn't staying healthy, and he's gone to either another team or out of the league. Number 2, Mekhi Becton stays healthy and dominates, and the Jets either slap the franchise tag on him or give him a long-term deal. Now, the Jets technically would have some control here. They could use the franchise tag a handful of times and kind of, again, because he's only played 48 snaps over the last 2 years. Only 48 snaps. So he hasn't been able to stay healthy. So if he stays healthy finally in a contract here, if I'm the Jets, I'd probably slap the franchise tag on him. He probably wants a long-term deal, but if I'm the Jets, 1 year can I trust? I give him a bang crazy deal and then he gets hurt again and I'm left up again, Schitt's Creek. That's tough. Again, the Jets are putting they're saying, hey, Mekhi, if you want to be the guy you believe to be, hey, here's your story. Here's your path to claim it, and we'll see if he does. So all the pressure's on him. So I fully anticipate him attempting to ball out. He's in great shape. The latest scale reading was 342 pounds. He weighed in at like 394, 396 at the beginning of this offseason training program with this new school. But he looks in great shape. He's not taking the lazy bust route. He's putting it on his own shoulders as a new father. Again, his daughter or son, I can't remember off the top of my head, just turned 1 recently. So he's got all the motivation. I can tell you as a new father. My daughter is, let me see here, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 1, 2, 3. So something like 16 months old, something like that is my daughter, who turns, I think, 16 months in a couple days. So, again, it provides new motivation. And I think all our parents in the audience that are watching either live or after the fact can speak to it. Your life changes. And people say that, and it sounds corny, but like, man, this internal urge to just protect and be a guardian of sorts for this child, for this innocent being on the planet that you have to mold and carve and be responsible for, just changes your entire vision on life. So we'll see how he responds to it. Again, another guy I'm rooting for. You guys don't have to root for him, of course. People have said, called him fat, lazy, bust, eating himself out of the league. They've been throwing all kinds of words at him, but obviously he's a tremendous building block. And if he's healthy, I'd much rather have a 24, 25-year-old left tackle for the foreseeable future. He's a monster. When on the field, the size, weight, and everything is Hall of Fame worthy. We'll see if he can live up to that. But we'll see. I don't think it's a guarantee he leaves because, again, the Jets would have the control with the franchise tags. JC Jet fan, what's up, Paul? Hope all is well with you and the family. They are. Thank you. The one side benefit, if we want to call it that, is obviously with my completely blown out ACL, I've been pretty immobile. I am not even going to be medically cleared to drive at a minimum for another month and a week. before they even think about it again. So I've gotten a rare opportunity to work from home and spend a lot of time with the family. So that's been a nice benefit. I would not recommend anyone blowing out their ACL in Taekwondo, but, you try to. I'm a glass half full kind of guy. I believe a positive disposition in life is important. I recommend that to Jet fans who I know who have been through a lot like me, but I think that's the key. So that's what I try to bring to the table. Let's hit that like for our boy. Appreciate that. Thank you. Yes. A big reminder. Wilner. The happy talks surrounding Wilson from the organization is them not wanting to admit they screwed up on the pick if they were to either demote him to QB3 or getting rid of him. That's also could be the case, Wilner, that the happy talk and the refusal to give up on him is the refusal to admit you made a mistake. And the Jets have hinted at that a little bit. Joe Douglas has done a couple of interviews this offseason where he said, I don't know if he said it verbatim, but basically, hey, we should have had a veteran quarterback in there. That would have helped him. We kind of botched that. We kind of messed that up. So, there is a little bit of that to it, but we'll see if they can bounce back from it. Let's see. Smash that like button. Yes. Keep our head down. Get to work. If the coach doesn't want it, then I don't want it. I could see that, Raw, if that's how you perceive it on the hard Knoxian thing, but I want it. I don't care what the coach says. The coach, of course, they're never going to want the extra attention, but me as the fan, I want it. Let's see. Vincenzo coming in. It's not that we, the fans, don't want it, but if things go bad, the football teams that hate the Jets and Arrow will use that as an excuse that we asked them to be in the spotlight, get humiliated if bad. And again, let's just be honest, Vincenzo. Whether Hard Knocks comes or not, if Aaron Rodgers fails here in New York, the Jet fans and everybody are going to get it because they're going to be in 6 primetime games. Like, there's not going to be a flex for the Black Friday game. They're in the Black Friday game no matter what. And a couple of the, Monday Night Football week 1, Sunday Night Football week 4, like, they're going to be in it no matter what. So if they don't deliver, they're going to get dunked on. So the fear of that, I mean, hey, just like you have to embrace the opportunities. Yes, that would be amazing. Yeah, let's see what our current number is at. We'll see if we can get a live read on the subscriber count here on the show. Let me get a number. Let me get the reading glasses out. We are at 4,848. So we are 152 away. So that's within striking range, people. We're 152 away from 5,000 subscribers. So like I said, guys, tell a Jets friend, share the show, and let them know. We've had player interviews this offseason. So we've had Laken Tomlinson on. We've had Tyler Conklin on. I've had old Jet players on. One of my favorites was Jericho Cotry, having him on the show. So we try to give you guys some cool things that you don't see everywhere else. So player interviews, insider interviews, live streams like this where we talk to you guys, the fans. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the variety and the diet here on the show. Rodgers should get Woody to change the unis. I'm going to be honest. I love the uniforms, to be honest. So I love the stealth black, spotlight white, Gotham green. I like it personally. I think people overreact. I like the new logo, to be honest. It's fresh. It's nice. People say, hey, you're a football team. You don't need the football. Whatever. I'm fine. Now, don't get me wrong. Of course, I see all the players wearing the old school Jet logo. We all know what I'm talking about, the old Kelly Greens. Hey, you want to bring that back either as a throwback or the OG uniform? Let's go. I'm all about it. Let's do it. So whether it's going to be Rodgers or anything, I just want to make it clear that I appreciate the uniforms on the roster right now. I love the triple combination. So I think it's nice. Kareem on Zach Kuntz can improve because he fits a new age of super athletic, tall, pass-catching tight end. The only thing I'm worried about here, Kareem, and this is why the Jets may be faced with a very interesting dilemma, is if you keep 4 tight ends, including like Zach Kuntz, like I think you may be forced to keep him because if you put him on the practice squad, there's no more practice squad protections anymore. That mini COVID rule is gone. You used to, on a week-to-week basis, were able to protect up to 4 practice squad players. So if another team wanted to come poach your guy, like they couldn't take a guy if you protected him. Those protection rules don't exist. So if Zach Kuntz was on the practice squad, another team said, ooh, perfect, he's been developing nicely. Snatch. They could sign him to their 53, and the Jets can't do a gosh darn thing about it. So if you want to protect from that possibility happening, you may need to keep Kuntz on the 53-man roster. So that could kind of complicate some of those things, which could make things a little bit tougher from that perspective. Okay, I see we just got a YouTube super chat in here. Amazing. From my boy, Feed the Fat Rabbit, baby. Best wishes on the ACL. You'll be ready for week 1, Boy Green. Becton is a major key for us, highly motivated. We need him to be firing on all cylinders. First off, Feed the Fat Rabbit. Thank you so much for the best wishes on the ACL. Like I said, it's a long process, but we're all committed to it. And you guys, each and every time, are helping me get through it with all these live shows. You guys help me, keep me engaged here. I don't get to leave the house often, so you guys get to keep me engaged here, which I appreciate. And hopefully I will be ready for week 1 because I got a cruise in August. That's going to be nice, a little getaway before the season gets here with the family. I'm looking forward to that. So we will be going through that stuff. And Becton is a major key because he just has this swing potential. And what I mean by that is his ceiling, okay, is so unbelievably high. Of course, his floor is so unbelievably low, which gives you this big needle mover factor. But if Becton is what he was in year 1, he's protecting Aaron Rodgers. He's his 6'7" bodyguard, his 6'7" protector. The Jets just go so much better in terms of the offensive line. I think Dwayne Brown's really good. I think Lakin's going to bounce back. Joe Tippmann should be a nice upgrade at center. Elijah Tucker speaks for himself. And Billy Turner's an outside option at right tackle. If Mekhi Becton wins the left tackle job, I believe Billy Turner might be the sneaky answer at right tackle. Because Dwayne Brown, he came back for year number 17. He can only play left tackle. Now, if this is a Madden video game and you want to flip him over to the right side and he's cool with it, God bless. But if we're being realistic here, Dwayne Brown, old dog ain't learning a new trick in year number 17. So that means Dwayne Brown would be the break the glass emergency backup at left tackle, which I'm fine with, by the way, because you have Aaron Rodgers and an expensive backup is fine with me. But Mekhi Becton, you're talking about that ceiling, I think he may be pigeonholed into playing right tackle. Because I think the Jets are going to want to put Dwayne on the field. If they put him on the field, he can only play left tackle. But we'll see what happens. Saleh said, hey, man, earn your spot basically at left tackle, and maybe he can. And if he does, I think Billy Turner might be the sneaky answer at right tackle. It'd be great. We have a motivated Rodgers, obviously, and I think we have a motivated Becton. So we'll see. Hopefully he can stay healthy. Feed the Fat Rabbit, thank you so much. So very good there. AC, Boy Green's channel is great. You're getting opponents guys on is great. Really like that guy from Cincy. Y'all should do an AFC show. Oh my God, I freaking love that Cincinnati guy. He was great. That's another big thing we do, and we're going to have a lot of new content coming and a new strategy, so you guys can almost get daily Jet shows. That's what I'm really shooting for. But yes, when we get into the season, we go behind enemy lines. We bring on an expert from the opponent, which is really cool. And the Bengals one was super fun last year. He does radio for the Cincinnati Bengals and joined the show. He was amazing. So I love just hearing stories, and I love networking. Obviously, the Jets are playing some opponents they haven't played in a couple years, like the Cowboys. Obviously, week 2 is going to be a lot of fun. Week 4, they played the Chiefs. They haven't played the Chiefs in a few years. So I'm going to be hearing, and so will you guys, the fans, will be hearing from new people that you don't normally hear from. So I'm glad that you guys love that. Let's keep going. Again, the YouTube Super Chat feature is open, just like Feed the Fat Rabbit said, and also performed in. It gives you a special highlighted comment just like this, and you get a huge shout out on the show, and you help keep the show rolling. So let's keep going here. Let me try to catch up on some comments. Reek at the Pup more Becton. Becton going to show up. I just feel he's in better shape than he was at the Combine. I really like Dwayne Brown. Becton's potential when healthy is an all-pro. Those days are done for Dwayne. Now, that's a fair point. I think, so let me put it this way, and I've said this before. I think Dwayne Brown is one of the best 5 offensive linemen for the Jets. If you line all the Jets offensive linemen up they have, Dwayne Brown, I believe, is one of the top 5. Now, if he can only play left tackle, the Jets have a decision maker because Robert Saleh said they're going to play the best 5. And if that's true, then Mekhi Becton is forced to play right tackle. However, if you're going to your point, Rico, that you said that if you're just going ceiling play, then he goes there, Dwayne Brown's backup, and then probably Billy Turner, maybe Max Mitchell. But I like that you have options. That's in a really good place. I like that you have options, which puts you in a different spot. So that's a thing that I like a lot as well. Let's see. Hey, that's right. Boy Green is rehabilitating his knee to play right tackle next year. Yes, if they're looking for a 5'3" and a slanted hill right tackle, give my agent a call. Oh, there it did. It did go through. Thank you, Feed the Fat Rabbit. Sometimes YouTube is a little weird with that, though. Sometimes YouTube is weird. A couple other storylines. You guys can feel free to keep dropping in questions here. on the show, feel free to do so. A couple other ones, of course, is Aaron Rodgers. I am really excited to continue to see him to work. We got some OTA pictures earlier. We got the touchdown, which was fun. Aaron Rodgers, again, getting familiar. Now, he's super familiar with the scheme that Nathaniel Hackett's bringing in. There's some vernacular differences, obviously, because Nathaniel Hackett was there, then he went to Denver, so Aaron Rodgers was doing his own thing with Matt LaFleur, the Packers head coach, last year. So they're coming back together and then figuring out the differences. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers will have some suggestions on lingo and getting that right, and Nathaniel Hackett and assimilating that. And also, of course, all the other pieces to the puzzle. Alan Lazard getting worked in. Garrett Wilson, Alan Lazard knows his key, but Garrett Wilson doesn't. Corey Davis doesn't. They know some concepts. LaFleur and Corey Davis were together in Tennessee. So there's some, rollover there from that perspective, but that's how you're putting all those pieces together. Holy cannoli. Wow. Oh my good golly. George Perez here with the 50 spot. Holy crap, man. George. That means a lot, man. Nothing than the best to you. You're great at what you do. Get better soon. George, thank you so much, man. Wow. Holy crap. I mean, oh my goodness. That got me to perk up in the seat a little bit. You guys are amazing. So thank you guys so much for the super chats. That makes me feel so good to do these shows, and you guys go out of your way for stuff like this. It melts my heart, guys. So thank you. Wow. That is, I don't even know what to say. That is such a generous donation to the show. Thank you, George, for that. I will say, we'll keep your thing up here, George. You obviously deserve it for the super chat. Thank you. Here on a Monday night, here on the show. Like I said, we will have a new intro. I'm going to be workshopping that with Joe Branham a little bit later. I just got the first version to my Facebook. So you guys will be seeing that soon. Some more production value for the show. So hoping you guys enjoy that. But yeah, let's get into a couple more storylines here. And thanks again to George and Feed the Fat Rabbit for the super chats. It helps keep the cogs moving, especially as I'm not working as much. I'm here from home, so I appreciate that. A lot more Jets content. Some other storylines I'm looking forward to is, of course, Mekhi Becton showing up, and he's already there, but going through the process of seeing him and seeing what the media believes and sees from him. Hearing from Robert Saleh tomorrow, that's going to be amazing to see. But Mekhi Becton, as he continues to work through, Mekhi Becton did have another interesting quote in that Bob Glauber interview he did for Newsday, where he said that, the Jets currently have me penned as like the third string tackle, but in a week I'm going to be the left tackle. So he obviously has this confidence, this bravado, this, air of confidence about him that he's kind of, walks with a little pep in his step around the facilities. That I'm super excited about. Couple injury / contract situations. Elijah Tucker not expected to participate fully. I think that's, let me double check the three names from Rich Cimini. Let me pull this up because there are three guys injury-wise who are not expected to participate. Let me make sure I get the names right here. This was from Rich a little bit earlier today. Yeah, here are the names. Okay, here are the three people that may be limited in some way. Dwayne Brown, obviously, came off the surgery this offseason. Elijah Tucker with the triceps and Mekhi Becton with the knee could sit out in 11-on-11, according to Rich Cimini. So we have to keep an eye out for that, of course. Again, so Becton, AVT, and Dwayne Brown, all three offensive linemen for that matter. So 11-on-11 is the next part of phase 3 that they could be doing. So keep an eye out for that. But we'll see. Obviously, there's a lot of other opportunities and drills, and they've been participating in a lot of those. So Mekhi Becton, the offensive line putting together. Again, Aaron Rodgers ain't going to be touched or anything like that, so we won't have any of that going on. But so Mekhi Becton, of course, Aaron Rodgers, the new pieces in general, obviously. So we mentioned guys on the offensive side of the ball. Like Alan Lazard. But what about the defense? Chuck Clark, one of the underrated trades. The Jets got Chuck Clark for a half-eaten bag of Doritos. Seeing him come in, he's played over 1,000 consecutive snaps over the last 3 years. Great safety option, and they got him for nothing. I love that. We mentioned Quentin Jefferson earlier. He's new. Will McDonald, of course, the first-round pick. He's got this martial arts background, which kind of excites me because I love the martial arts. I'm a Taekwondo. I was just going for my 4th-degree black belt. That's how I blew out my ACL in the first place at that 4th-degree black belt test. So phenomenal. So we have Will McDonald coming through. So I'll be looking forward to seeing a lot of those new pieces. And also the update on Zach Wilson. That's another big one for me. We'll see what Saleh can say. Again, there's not a lot of tangible evidence yet. They started over a month ago with the beginning of the offseason in general around April 18th with some of the voluntary stuff. And then, like I said, we continue the voluntary stuff through the OTAs until mandatory minicamp, which is the second week in June, which is the 13th to the 15th. So Zach Wilson's progress, I'm really fascinated by to see. And then, like I said, all the injury situations with ABTs, Dwayne Browns, ABT, Dwayne Brown, and then Mekhi Becton, obviously. So seeing those guys, I think, will be important. And then the Quinnen thing, he's not going to be there from everything we understand, but hopefully that's part of the next step of the process to figure that out. So we'll see there. And I'm just hearing from my future father-in-law, the Lakers are done. Swept by the Denver Nuggets, despite that awesome LeBron James first half. So, oof. Feel bad for my buddy. He bet $100 before the season we were going to get Lakers Celtics NBA Finals, and if he was right, he would have won $8,000. But now Lakers have. Sorry, pal. Sorry, my friend here locally. Could have won some nice scratch. Speaking of nice scratch, what about George Perez, baby? Beautiful. I'll be back to you, George. Donald, hey, I just forgot about you going live. I just joined in. Thanks, Donald, for joining. Yeah, I got to do better. We're going to have more consistency in terms of trying to do live shows more often on we do them every once in a while, but we're going to try to bump it up even more, Donald. So keep an eye out for it. I'll also say this while we're streaming live right now on the Heavy on Jets Facebook page, which has over 32,000 fans. And Donald, that's how you're seeing this live stream. Make sure you guys go over to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/boygreen25. Not every video I do on YouTube has an opportunity to go on Facebook. It has to fit in certain windows in our schedule. But if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, you're never going to miss a video. So, guys, I highly recommend that. Again, whether you're watching live or after the fact, youtube.com/boygreen25. Make sure you guys are subscribed so you don't miss any of those videos. George saying you've earned it. I appreciate that, buddy. Thank you. Thank you, man. Reek at the pup. Our defense went from bottom 3 to top 4. If you think Saleh isn't a guy, then I have to say you're being too impatient. He didn't inherit the 49ers like Shanahan. That's a great point. I can't believe they went from like 32nd in most of the major categories to jumping to top 4. Now, again, there should possibly be some level of regression. Maybe they're going to be better because they haven't lost any major pieces, but even if they regress and they're still inside the top 10, if you have a top 10 offense, a top 10 defense, you're probably in a pretty good spot. But I'm very excited. I like the cut of Robert Saleh's jib. He's a coach that I wanted. Go back on my YouTube history of the top 5 coaches I want for the Jets. Robert Saleh made that list, baby. 19 New York Jets, 16. And what about how is Brees doing? I saw you correct yourself. And would you start him or give him a few weeks? Brees, from everything we're hearing, is ahead of schedule, which is great. And from what I've heard, what's going to be happening is that the Jets are going to try to hold out Brees out of all this stuff. So there's a chance he'll be on PUP, so that as a precautionary measure, as they go through some of the training camp and things of that nature, so they can kind of keep him on ice, so to speak. And then, in theory, pull him off PUP right before you get to the season. He's ready for week 1. Personally, as a fellow guy who just blew out his ACL, now Brees did it a few more months before I did. This is an arduous rehab, and I don't know the specifics of Brees's. For me, I completely ruptured and tore my ACL, and there was other ligament damage. So it was a complicated surgery of things that they had to do. So I don't know the full extent of Brees Hall's torn ACL, but to me, and this may sound arrogant to non-Jet fans, and maybe even some Jet fans think it's crazy, the Jets, to me, are Super Bowl contenders, okay? And if you're a Super Bowl contender, you're not thinking about week 1. Now, me, I have tickets to the Jets-Cowboys game. I'm flying down to Dallas, so again, happy birthday to my father who's never seen the Cowboys at AT&T. I've, of course, never been to AT&T, so it's going to be a magical experience for me and my dad in week 2. Would I love Brees Hall to be in that game and hitting home runs, 75-yarders? Of course. I speak for all Jet fans. Of course we would want to see that. But it's about the long game, man. I'd much rather have Brees Hall ready week 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 playoffs than week 2, week 1. To me, if it's up to me, I think it would be a big, big, big mistake if the Jets rush Breece Hall back. Now, some people say, what's rushing him back? It gets hurt in October. It's going to be September. It's basically a year. Like, I don't know. For me, I try to play it close to the vest. I try to be safe. Now, I will say this real quick. This could be a whole nother video, perhaps. I'm a little worried about the running back room. I'm a little worried. And I'm a former running back, so I've got a special place in my heart for the running backs. Michael Carter stunk last year. Let's be blunt. He stunk. Now, is it because the offensive line was bad, especially in the back half of the year, or was it because Michael Carter had a sophomore slump? I don't know, but he stunk. Zonovan Knight had the flash against Chicago Bears, and then he fizzled at the end of the year. So, not great. Ty Johnson's cut. He's gone. You have Israel Abanikanda, but he was a fifth-round pick. He fell all the way to the third day of the draft. Now, while I have a lot of hype and potential for the home run hitter he is, there's a reason he fell all the way in the draft. There's a reason he fell all the way in the draft, people. I don't know, man. The running back room is kind of scary. Kind of scary, especially when you don't know about Breece Hall. When is he 100%? No one can truly answer that. The Jets say, oh, he'll be ready for week 1, but will he? I don't know. I would add a proven guy. Leonard Fournette, Ezekiel Elliott, Kareem Hunt, and then we flirted with all the trade ideas that have flown around with Derrick Henry trades or Austin Eckler trades. Now, maybe those are a little too crazy aggressive, but they need another running back. I would sign Kareem Hunt today. I'd sign Leonard Fournette today. I'd sign Ezekiel Elliott today. I would sign one of those guys to give me a little bit of a higher floor in the running back room because there are some questions. Now, Aaron Rodgers naturally is going to bump up the passing game. The passing game is naturally going to be better, but the running game? Ooh. Michael Carter proved he couldn't be the guy last year by himself. Then you had the James Robinson effect. Zonovan came in late. I don't know, man. A lot of questions. More questions than Jet fans are willing to admit. But I lay it out there on the line. That's the kind of guy I am. Okay? I got major questions with the running back room. So, Harris, I saw from Matt O'Leary's channel that teams can now carry a third quarterback without using it. That's good for the Jets and Zach. Well, I don't think it. Bluntly, Harris. First off, yes, Matt O'Leary is phenomenal. We'll get him back on the show soon. He's great. Third quarterback rule is true. That ain't good for. It's good for the Jets, but I don't think it has anything to do with Zach Wilson. He's going to be the QB2. Now, potentially for Tim Boyle, it's good for him, but I think Zach Wilson's a guy. Which one's strong safety? Which one's free safety? From everything I understand, I think the Jets are playing both Jordan Whitehead and Chuck Clark. So now the problem is they both seem to play a lot better closer to the line of scrimmage. So that could be a little bit of a rub. They don't have this true ball hawking free safety back there unless they believe Tony Adams can be that maybe. But so there's a little bit of there, but we'll see what happens. Again, maybe there's a chance. Maybe there's a chance to get somebody late, but it doesn't seem like it at this point. Feed the Fat Rabbit. What home games are you hitting this year? Nothing official. The only game I've officially booked and had to for all the plane tickets, hotel, and all that is the Cowboys. I'd like to go to a few. Of course, the rehab on the knee will play a part in that as well. But, guys, I'm hoping we'll hopefully figure this out when we get closer to the offseason. If you guys are interested, again, my social media, see on the scrolling ticker, is @BoyGreen25. I would love to do – and it sounds egotistical to call it like a Boy Green game. Like I don't know if we have to call it that. Although I'm as egotistical as it gets. I'm Boy Green, and I shove Boy Green in everyone's face. But if enough people were interested, I'd love to meet a lot of you guys in person. You guys all want to go to a Jets home game together. Maybe we could throw a little bit of a tailgate party or do something like that. If that's something that would rev enough people's engines, maybe I can create like a wish list, and if people are interested, they could sign up or something. We'll figure that out. That'd be cool. I'm hoping to go to a few games this year, home games this year. And hopefully I can meet a lot of you guys at them. So maybe we can pick a date on the calendar that you guys are interested in, and we can make it happen. So fingers crossed. So nothing official. I'd love to go to the primetime games. I got a baby, of course, so I guess she couldn't come to those. But I'd love to go to primetime MetLife Stadium. That'd be a lot of fun. But, guys, you guys can hit me up on social if you're interested in that. We'll see if we can figure that out. Let's go through the last couple questions here. Wilner, are you concerned about the offensive line? I think there's two ways to look at it. My life, Wilner, I'm a glass half full guy. Because I say this all the time, probably sounds corny, but I'll say it, okay? You don't control the cards you're dealt in life, but you can control how you respond to the cards you're dealt. So I always try to have a positive disposition because, like, you get dealt shitty cards. I guess you can whine and complain about it. I try to be positive and see the silver lining. So to circle back to the offensive line, I feel higher on the offensive line than I think other Jet fans do. I think there's a good ceiling there. Mekhi obviously has got an unbelievable ceiling. Lincoln, I think, is going to be a strong bounce back. Joe Tippmann's going to be better than Connor McGovern. AVT is AVT as long as he comes back from the triceps. And then whatever you do at right tackle, is that Billy Turner? Is that Max Mitchell? Whoever. I think the offensive line has a chance to be above average. The best offensive line in football? No, I'm not willing to go that far, but I think above average is in a very good place. Oh, there you go. I'm really trying really hard to go to Jets-Giants game. That's another possibility. I have a few Giant fans around here. That's possible. Rico the Pup. I recently moved to Houston, Paul. I wish I could see you at the Dallas game, but moving costs are insane right now and I had to prioritize. No problem, Rico. I know we've got a Gunny down there. Jake Asman's down there, so I'm going to try to have to hit up a couple of you guys while I'm down there. I'm only there from, I think it's Friday to Monday, maybe, something like that. So I'm there for a few days, but with all the travel, we'll see what happens. But Rico, appreciate the continued support. Kareem Hunt, please, and thank you. Any relation? I'm kidding. Sort of. The Jets actually did explore Kareem Hunt trade last year, but the Browns said straight up 4th-round pick, and the Jets are like, nah, we'll get James Robinson for a 6th. Now, James Robinson ended up not being very good. He was good enough for the Buffalo win. He had that touchdown that game, which was a difference maker. So, all in all, trade worth it. But still, I would have preferred Kareem Hunt. He was the guy I was shooting for, and the Jets did explore that from that standpoint. Running back by committee, worst case, which is not a bad option if you have enough good guys. I can't think of a starting running back Michael Carter is better than. Yeah, I don't think he's great either, to be honest. Now, he showed some pop and wiggle in year 1. He doesn't have that extra gear of burst, so he gets caught from behind all the time. Inconsistent with the pass catching, which is an issue. He's a little soft on social media, searches his name all the time and blocks a lot of people. He just recently unblocked me. That's nice. But, it's all about production on the field. Can he be consistent? He's a smaller guy, so you really got to deliver. If you're a smaller guy and you're not running away from people, you got to be difference maker. You have to be a difference maker in a lot of different spots. Man, Michael Carter needs some work. He can't be the bell cow. I think that he proved it. I see you say you think Michael Carter had a good year. I didn't see it. I didn't see it from the numbers. I mean, I'll pull back up the numbers, but watching it live throughout the season, I didn't like what I saw. Did not like what I saw from Michael Carter. So we got the numbers in front of us. Here's the analytics. So he had 400 yards rushing. That was 200 less than the previous season. And he played more games in 22 than he played in 2021. So he had a significant drop in yardage. His yards per carry is 3.5. Disgusting. That's an absolutely disgusting number. He had more catches but less yards. So his yards per reception was down from that perspective. Receiving yards per reception per game. Yeah, I'm looking at the catch percentages. Yeah, there's a lot of nothing burger here as far as it pertains to Michael Carter. So I'm going to stick to the take. 19 New York Jets 69. Not very good, according to the numbers or my eyes, for that matter. Not great. But like I said, maybe he can bounce back. I'd love for him to bounce back. I'd love for him to be a part of that rotation. I think that would be a key as well. I'm just trying to see if I missed any more of your guys' questions. And another shout out to both George Perez, I almost called you Jorge. George Perez and Feed the Fat Rabbit for the Super Chats. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Like I said, we're workshopping a brand new Boy Green intro video, so hopefully you guys will be seeing that soon. And also make sure you like the video. Hit subscribe. We say it all the time, baby. At BoyGreen25. We got some fun guests. I'm working on a current player on the team that doesn't often do interviews. You guys can try to speculate on who that is. And I've been speaking with his agent, so there's a chance one of my favorite players on the team could be coming on to do an interview, and he does not do interviews often. So fingers crossed, we're going to get that set up, and a few insiders should be joining us along the way as well. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks for the support, and we'll be back on very soon right here on the channel. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next time.